Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. We have new developments in the case of a former gang leader charged with the murder of Tupac Shakur. Now, sparks flew in court yesterday as Duane Keffe D. Davis renewed his effort to be freed from jail and released to home confinement ahead of his trial for the 1996 killing of the hip-hop legend. Well, Davis is being held on $750,000 bond. Well, last month, the judge rejected a bid by Davis to have a hip-hop music executive put up over $112,000 in bail money to secure his release. And she gave Davis's attorney a week to prove where that money came from.
Your Honor, looking at the first comments that you made at the initial source hearing, on page 3, you said the purpose of the source hearing was to ensure the bond was not posted with proceeds from talking about the murder or killing of Tupac. There was no evidence at that source hearing that Mr. Davis was paid any proceeds for the murder of Tupac. He has been paid in the past through a book, through social media accounts, etc. The only evidence that we had at the source hearing was a prospective payment. And Mr. Jones was very adamant that there was no contract between those two yet. And so it was prospective in regards to his life story. So in regards to whether those monies came from a legitimate source, I think you have all the information there. We have a legitimate bank account. We have a legitimate business. He received the funds from another legitimate business. Your Honor can even review their website at www.agententertainment.com. It's a legitimate transaction between 100 Entertainment and AG Entertainment Touring. And he decided to use that money.
It seems like your end goal here is to make some sort of show on the prep for this trial, according to news articles that have been sent to me.
Like, again, you read so many things about it.
That's not my quote to the Sun is not accurate?
That's not my end goal here, Your Honor. My end goal is to win the trial. Okay? Whether they want to follow me with cameras, they can do that. Are we going to benefit by that? I promise you, as an officer of the court, we have not signed a contract, nor have we been given any financial incentive to do something like that, Your Honor.
Now, with regards to whether or not the court's has the ability to set conditions on a detention order, I think first and foremost, this court made a finding that a detention order was necessary, right? It wasn't that we're just setting bail. This court found, after a lengthy briefing, lengthy argument, given all the factors required to be considered in NRS 178-4853, that a detention order was necessary to protect the public from Mr. Davis. And so one of the conditions for release was that he may not benefit from Tupac Shakur's killing, right? He may not use proceeds from that to make his bail. And I would submit that this court was correct in doing that, because pursuant to NRS 178-4851, subsection 3, this court can set any condition without limitation as long as it relates to keeping the community safe. And Your Honor, I would argue that a person publicly availing himself of funds from the proceeds of a murder that is still awaiting trial is in fact putting the public in danger.
Now, the judge had a lot of concerns. She also expressed a concern that if Davis is allowed to post gifted money for release, there is little incentive for him to return to trial, making him a trial risk. Now, the judge promised to rule on the bail issue in the next few days, but that wasn't the end of the hearing. Defendant Keffe D then lashed out at prosecutors over boxes of evidence that they have.
I got something to say.
you want to say to Mr. Arnold, and he can say that he represents you. So ultimately, if you represent yourself, you can talk at will. But if
Mr. Craig Katie had them boxes at his house for 15 years in his attic, doing all kind of TV interviews. Them boxes should not be allowed in the
he's
cases.
just going to talk about it.
The boxes should not be allowed. The tainted evidence, everything. The man, he broke a proffer agreement, and he broke the law, all kind of stuff. The boxes should not be allowed. He's been at his house for 15 years, and he do interviews, going in the boxes. Let me see here. Ooh, you can see it on any internet site that this man been going in the boxes for years. And he's a judge, federal judge in LA, did a 142-page thing about him. Look it up on the internet.
So I think what the state said ultimately is that they don't think there's going to be anything in those boxes that they're going to use.
And they just used something in the boxes. They just used something in the boxes from 1996, and they know where they did it.
Yeah, no, it's certainly we are.
They're not only ugly on the outside, but they're ugly on the inside. They crashed in my family in this. They did my daughter first. They did my son. Then they just did my wife the last thing. What's the name told me about these? David Westbrook told me about these dudes. He said they're not only ugly on the outside, but they're ugly on the inside too. These two dudes right here.
All right. At this point, there's nothing before me to exclude any sort of evidence. There's been no motion filed about the proffer. I don't know if Mr. Arnold plans on challenging that or not. Ultimately, that decision is up to him.
Davis clearly not happy. He's been in a Las Vegas jail since his arrest last September. He's actually currently fighting cancer. Now, in 2019, a tell-all memoir, Davis wrote that he was promised immunity from prosecution in return for telling investigators what he knew about the killing of Shakur. Obviously, that didn't work out for him. Davis is the only person still alive who was in the car on the Las Vegas Strip from which shots were fired into another car, killing Shakur and wounding rap mogul Marion Suge Knight. Keffe D is charged with first-degree murder in that case and faces life in prison if convicted. His trial is scheduled for November 4th. All right, let me bring back in my guests, civil rights attorneys Adante Pointer and Sue Ann Robinson. Sue Ann, I'll start with you. What do you think of the plight of Keffe D? And we'll start specifically with his attempts to use money that he's getting from a music mogul. The judge is concerned that it's not for any deal to tell his story. It's not for any kind of reality type show where they follow his attorney in representing him, because he can't profit from the death of Tupac.
Right. I think Judge Carly is trying to help Keffe D out by keeping him in custody, to be honest. I mean, it is an old crime, but it is a very popular artist that was killed and murdered. And a lot of people on the street feel like he is responsible. And so him being in custody is actually and probably protecting him from people trying to take the law into their own hands. So I think he's actually probably more safer in custody. The fact that they're doing a source hearing to find out where the funds are coming from, and all they're telling the judge is that it's from an entertainment company and he's made money in the entertainment business, telling his story is a problem. The defense attorney needs to do a better job in the source hearing to explain exactly where the legitimate funds came from, the legitimate business. More specific, when the court is concerned that the funds came from entertainment proceeds, he has to do a better job in that source hearing.
Yeah, fair enough. And if in fact it is proven that these are legit funds, not gained from anything having to do with Tupac's death, Adante, they got this other hurdle they'd have to get over. The judge expressed a fear that if this is gifted money that they're going to use to bail him out, that doesn't sort of tie him to make him come back to court. He becomes a flight risk.
Yeah, I'm not too much of a fan of that argument as a basis to keep him in custody. You know, look, if someone thinks enough of him to give him a gift, then it may be a relationship, and it could be explored by the judge, but it's the type of relationship he may want to honor and not flee or abscond from custody. On top of the fact, I think there's a lot of wrinkles here in the case, and admittedly, I'm a Tupac fan. That's my era, my generation, big Tupac fan. I was very sad when he passed away. But there's this whole idea in the specter of Diddy and Diddy meaning P. Diddy or Puff Daddy, and whether or not he was involved in this and did he pay for this and order this hit. And that seems to be falling apart the more this story unravels. And so that also brings to me a question as to whether or not was Keffe D really involved, or was he just mouthing off and trying to get money and profit off of information by selling stories in order to avoid his own criminal troubles by way of the proffer agreement. So I think there's a lot of issues here. And one last factor that really caught my eye. You're telling me that there's a man that the prosecution has in custody, the last living witness and perpetrator of killing a hip hop or a musical legend, and his bail is only $750,000? That's mind-boggling. People have higher bails for possession of firearms. So, you know, I think there's a lot going on here, and I wouldn't be surprised if this case falls apart somewhere along the path to trial.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point, Sue, and I want you to bring in on this. This was a crime that happened in 1996. And quite frankly, from what I've seen in the motions in the case, Sue, most of the evidence comes from the mouth of Keffe D. And again, there are a number of reasons why he might have told the story, not the least of which he wanted to profit from it. We don't know the veracity of it. I don't know how much they've been able to back it up. I do know a lot of people have looked into this case. There are a bunch of people who still think Tupac's alive, and they certainly haven't been able to pinpoint who the killer was without Keffe D's own words.
Yeah, this is a situation where his own words have literally come back to haunt him. Whether he was just mouthing off or whether he was just saying the things in order to profit from them, they have been said, they have been recorded, and now he's being held to account for the things that he said himself. Now, how will the state take his own statements and corroborate it with 27-year-old evidence, testimony, and things remains to be seen. But absolutely, I think that if someone is going around and claiming that they committed a murder or that they were part of a murder conspiracy, then by all means, the state should be investigating them, and they certainly should be behind bars because they're saying that they're a danger to the community.
Yeah, you know, and he's the last living witness, so that corroboration could be an issue. The case is 27, 30, almost 30 years old. Suge Knight's still alive. He's on record as saying, you can't count on me in this particular case. So, again, it remains to be seen what kind of case they have. Quickly, Adante, he has cancer. Part of the reason he's asking for house arrest, he's not asking to be let free, but house arrest is to help with his cancer situation. What do you make of that?
You know, I think that's a legitimate claim. I mean, we know it's very well documented. Medical services and medical treatment when you're incarcerated in jail or even prison is just substandard across the board. So I think that's a legitimate claim for the judge to consider.
All right, again, the judge said 2 or 3 days she should have a ruling in this one, so we'll keep you updated on that.